Well, Brock Vandagriff has been named the Gatorade Player of the Year in Georgia for the 2020 season. And, as speaking as someone who saw him play a lot, I think 8 games live last year, I'm going to go ahead and say this is the right call. Dean Legge from Dawg Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. Brock ended his season bringing Prince Avenue a state championship, which is, I said going into is something that he really needed to do. He threw for only over 4,100 yards, 46 touchdowns, 500 rushing yards, and 17 touchdowns. He's actually also been named a finalist for the Gatorade Player of the Year nationally. So he's got a shot to really do some rack up some awards as he heads into his first, full season of college football. Awards are, you can. It is an accomplishment for sure. I mean, Gatorade Player of the Year in basketball, football, these sports for your state, that's a big deal, no question. But they're just awards, and they honor the past. They're not an eye into the future. What you need to do is go back and watch on this channel the games that Brock played. We went to I think 7 or 8 games as a company. I went to 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 10 videos of Brock up on YouTube alone. You should be checking that out, freshening yourself up just to see what he can do. And as I talked about in a lot of those videos, for Brock, he really is a gifted runner. I don't know how that will fit into his future at Georgia, but it's something that separates him from the quarterbacks on campus now. When you think about Gunnar Stockton joining him in a couple of months, Gunnar will have the same capability. But that's not what JT Daniels is known for. It's not necessarily what Carson Beck is known for. But for Brock Vandagriff, really his legs are a weapon. It's what makes him special to me because he is a very good quarterback, moving in the pocket, throwing the ball. But what you got to worry about with him is his ability to move and punish people with his legs. He definitely tries to run people over sometimes. He's certainly not Tim Tebow. He's a much more gifted passer, and he's not as big as Tim Tebow was playing college football. So I think we're going to see some more selective running. And I want to point something out right now, which is something that Greg Vandagriff did a really good job with, his coach and father. Brock was banged up this past year, and he knew he couldn't just run and take on everybody. And there were times after he sustained the injury that I'm talking about where he chilled it out. He ran and got down. In other words, he's smart. And that's something that you want in a quarterback. One thing I talked with Greg about, and I'll share right now, it's not really any sort of crazy thing, but, I told him, and this is still true, I don't know what the future holds with Brock because we don't know how he's going to develop as a quarterback. He is a good quarterback right now, but it does seem like in college, there's more development that has to take place. There's more that has to go into the arsenal. You can't just run and throw. You have to dissect things. You have to be a leader, which I think sometimes is over talked about. But for Brock, when you look at his first G-Day, it was a good start. And the thing that flashed was his ability to run. He has an ability to run that I think people were questioning going into G-Day, and then they saw him running on his non-dominant side, his left side, to get around the corner, and he was outrunning high-level, Division I athletes, guys who were in the top of their recruiting classes. He was getting around them really with no problem, and I thought he would be able to run. But he really got away from people. And that was the part where it was like, well, that's something that he's really got that he can use over time. A lot of quarterbacking is in the pocket. A lot of quarterbacking is decision making. A lot of quarterbacking is pre-snap. But most quarterbacks don't have that. I wouldn't even call it escape ability. That ability to just flat out get out on the edge and run away from people. I mean, if your quarterback is making 20 and 30-yard runs, that's very difficult to deal with. The guy that pops into my head, and he's not like this, is Johnny Manziel. He's not that quick. I compared him most of the time to Ian Book, who was the quarterback at Notre Dame this past year. Ian Book was a very gifted runner, very fast. I think that Brock still has development to be had. I think that his family and Brock have taken into consideration everything he's got to do in order to get better and to develop. And I also think that he wouldn't be at Georgia had the Bulldogs not made a change at coordinator to Todd Monken. We are going to see here as time goes on this season, whether you're talking about the Clemson game or beyond, we're going to see what 2 years in a Todd Monken system means for quarterbacks. Typically in the past, that's meant a lot of points on the scoreboard. I'm expecting that. I think what we saw the last 4 games and the first 4 of JT Daniels' time at Georgia was a good indication of what it could be like. JT is a really good quarterback. He understands how to play quarterback. He's not a runner. He might not even be the most gifted thrower, but he knows how to play quarterback. And now we're in year 2 of him being in Todd's system, being around things, being around in the program. I mean, I think only now has he been there for an entire year, been acclimated to everything. JT Daniels has never really played in the summer heat and mugginess of Georgia. So there's that too. But I do think when you look at what the future holds, because JT Daniels is going to leave after this year. You're going to have a real big fight at Georgia this time next year for who will be the quarterback going into the 2022 season. And Brock Vandagriff is going to have a lot to say about who that will be. That's the part that I think everybody should be watching about. What will Brock do? How will he develop over his first 12 to 18 months at Georgia? Will it be the same or more as Carson Beck? I mean, the light switched on for Carson as the season went on. I mean, there's plenty of discussion about how good Carson Beck was going into G-Day. And, are we going to hear the same thing about Brock? Because Brock's tools are different than Carson's. And so it really is going to be about development of who plays quarterback, how they play it, and can they get the job done when you really need them to. That's what we talk about all the time on Dawg Post. Make sure you go to the website, check us out, join the newsletter, and we'll see you over on the website.